Ho fatto. Ok, mi è sparito dal menu, ma va
Questa
bene.
riunione è in fase di registrazione.
È andato, adesso ce l'ho fatta. Allora,
Se tutti togliamo il video, ti chiamo, Barbara.
Esatto, tolgo video. Fabio, quando vuoi, io sto mettendo le persone.
Datemi un check su quando possiamo cominciare, nel senso che quando...
Sto mettendo tutti e ti chiedo anche, visto che vedo anche Elina, di darle un attimo la parola iniziale. Elina è l'organizzatrice di tutto questo Freelance Month.
Allora, Virginia, preparati, cerco di fare anche io un'introduzione in modo tale che possa tradurre per Elina.
Ok, io chiudo e escludo l'audio e risolvo il problema della registrazione.
Oh, adesso stiamo... Cosa?
Ah, Elina!
Chiudete da? Sì.
Sorry, can you please close your microphone?
No, 2-3. 2-3. Да.
Fabio?
Eccomi.
Puoi partire, però ho bisogno che qualcuno chiuda il microfono, non so chi sia. Sorry, yuhu.
Allora partiamo magari...
non lo vedo.
Come non vedo?
Buongiorno, benvenuti a questo evento con cui Freelance Network Italia partecipa al Freelance Business Month.
Good morning and welcome to this event with which Freelance Network Italia participates in the Freelance Network Week.
Io ringrazio Elina che vedo collegata con noi per l'organizzazione che ha fatto di questo grande evento e soprattutto perché abbiamo saputo, io intanto prego chi ci sta ascoltando ed è collegato con noi di spegnere il proprio microfono, altrimenti subiamo delle interferenze. Dicevo, il nostro augurio da parte dell'intera comunità dei Freelance Network Italia va a Elina perché so che è in dolce attesa.
A big thank you to the organization behind this project, so to Elena, and we ask everyone to kindly close your microphones in order to hear everything during the conference. Thank you.
E dovremmo ricordare che appunto essendo in dolce attesa noi le rivolgiamo i migliori auguri.
And also the best wishes to Elena that is now waiting for her baby.
A questo punto direi che abbiamo due raccomandazioni da fare a chi ci sta seguendo. La prima è, come abbiamo già detto, di spegnere l'audio di chi è collegato e possibilmente anche il video. La seconda è, se avete delle domande, annotatevele con calma, segnatevi anche i relatori ai quali intendete rivolgerle, perché le faremo al termine degli interventi.
Okay, two important things to keep in mind during the conference. So as we just said, to close the microphones. And secondly, if anyone has a question, write it down, and also the lecturer you want to ask the question to. And we're going to answer to all of that at the end of the conference.
Prima di dare il via ai nostri lavori, non nascondiamo che siamo tutti un po' emozionati. Desidero ringraziare Salvatore Saitta che sta curando la parte della regia digitale, Gabriele Politi che al momento non dovrebbe essere più collegato, che è il nostro Foreign Ambassador, e Virginia Benati che sta facendo la traduzione per noi italiani per consentire di utilizzare al meglio i contenuti che andremo ad illustrare.
Before beginning our presentation, we want to say a special thank you to Salvatore Saitta, that is taking care of the presentation of the digital organization, and also Gabriele, that is no longer with us, but it is the foreign ambassador of Freelance Network Italia, and also to me as the introducer of the whole presentation.
Detto questo, direi che prima di presentare i relatori forse è il caso di cedere subito la parola a Elina per un suo indirizzo di saluto e preghiamo Virginia di tradurre per noi italiani. Grazie.
Okay, now before beginning, we want to yield the floor to Elina, and so you're welcome to deliver your speech.
Oh, thank you so much. That is, it's going to be a little bit of an exprompt, but nevertheless, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I am absolutely delighted to have Italian community joining Freelance Business Month, because the mission of this event, which is 1 month long, is to connect the freelancers around the world. And the fact that Italian community is joining us in this initiative gives a very strong signal to the community itself, because you don't want to be isolated. And we've been in isolation for long enough for the last years. Now it's time to get together. So thank you very much for making this happen. We're looking forward to learn from you, because like we mentioned in the previous session, we have some administrative matters within our own countries, but there are some universal topics which, they don't change. These are the pricing, these are the positioning, this is your brand, this is how to find customers. All that are unique from one region to another. So I'm very delighted to have all these excellent experts joining. So well done for bringing them together. And let's have amazing 2 hours.
Un grazie speciale a tutti per partecipare a questa iniziativa. Sono molto felice del fatto che la community di Freelance Network Italia abbia appunto preso parte a questo progetto, così che ci possiamo connettere tra di noi e creare un vero e proprio network tra freelancer e niente, appunto ci sono dei temi che sono trasversali, comuni a tutti, che quindi ci uniscono e che hanno dato vita appunto a questo a questo mese del Freelance Network.
Grazie Virginia. Io non so se Elina vorrà mantenersi in contatto con noi e quindi seguire i nostri lavori. Se lo farà, ne siamo felici. Io intanto direi che possiamo presentare i relatori che si succederanno in questo nostro momento di approfondimento che si intitola Doing Freelance Business in Italy.
Okay, Elina, if you want, you're welcome to stay during our call. And now we're going to present the different lectures of the presentation. That it's going to be about brand identity and doing business through freelance in Italy.
Ok, grazie Virginia. Io sono un freelance un po' atipico perché sono un giornalista professionista tra gli ultimi ad avere un lavoro da dipendente e con un contratto nazionale di lavoro dei giornalisti, però nel mio cuore sento che batte la voglia, le emozioni e soprattutto lo spirito del freelance. Questa è la premessa che volevo fare come cappello e poi vado coi nomi.
Welcome to everyone. I'm an atypical freelancer because I still have a contract as a journalist. So I'm not a normal freelancer like all of you, but I feel it in my heart that I have a freelancer spirit and initiative. So that's why I'm here. And now we're going to start presenting the lecturers.
Bene, allora come abbiamo detto, oggi parliamo di questo argomento e io desidero introdurre a tutti voi Marina Galbiati, che è Marketing Consultant, insieme a Michela Bellomo, che è Brand Creator and Color Strategist. Loro due si occuperanno proprio del tema Creating a Brand e l'importanza della brand identity.
The first two lecturers are going to be Marina Galbiati, that is a marketing consultant, and Michela Bellomo, who is a brand creator and color strategist. And therefore, they're going to focus on these two topics, so brand identity in general.
Ascolteremo poi il contributo di Dario Albini, che è Strategic Art Director e in particolare si occuperà e ci illustrerà come le immagini possono essere utili per veicolare i contenuti che intendiamo promuovere.
Then we're going to listen to Dario Albini, that is a strategic art director, and he is going to focus on how images can change how our product is perceived by our customers.
Poi seguirà Giovanni Ronci, che è un docente, un formatore, un Internet Business Designer, che ci parlerà di nicchie e di keyword.
After that, we're going to listen to Giovanni Ronci, that is an Internet Business Designer, and he is a professor, and he is going to talk to us about keywords and market niche.
Abbiamo poi l'avvocato Martina Lasagna, ma lo vedete anche nello schermo intero che Salvatore Saita ha messo online. Martina Lasagna ci parla delle 5 regole più una per iniziare un'attività di successo, un business di successo come freelance, e Phil Korenfeld, che invece si occupa di organizzazioni umane, una cosa molto particolare che non voglio anticiparvi, ma della quale sicuramente lui saprà parlarvi affascinandovi.
Afterwards, we're going to listen to Martina Lasagna, that is a lawyer who is going to give us 5+1 tips for starting a freelance business. And then Priel Korenfield is going to talk about human organization in a freelance business.
Chiuderà i lavori la founder di Freelance Network Italia, Barbara Verberry, che è mentor, business coach e anche autrice di un volume che si intitola Freelance Digitali.
And the last lecturer will be Barbara Verberry, that is the founder of Freelance Italia, and she's going to talk about how a freelance can start his business and what are the steps that we need to achieve in order to really start a business.
Bene, allora siccome mi pare di assumere un po' il ruolo del capitano dell'aereo che si prepara al decollo per questo viaggio che vorrà portarci a nuovi contenuti, nuovi valori, nuove relazioni virtuose, nuove reti di conoscenza, possiamo dire cabin crew, get ready for taking off.
Okay, now if everyone's ready to take off, we're going to start our journey through Freelance Network and its various areas of knowledge.
Bene, allora partiamo subito con Marina Galbiati.
Eccoci. Allora, mi chiamo Marina Galbiati e come mi ha giustamente introdotto Fabio, mi occupo di consulenza di marketing per liberi professionisti e le piccole attività. E oggi siamo qui per parlare di perché è importante creare un brand anche per un freelance.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Marina Galbiati. I'm a market specialist for small businesses and freelancers. And today we're going to talk about why is brand identity important for a freelancer.
Perché il brand è importante anche per un freelance? Siamo abituati a pensare che solo le grandi aziende, le multinazionali, effettuino importanti studi di brand.
We used to think that just big corporations do studies for brand identity, but it's not always like this.
Con importanti differenze che vedremo tra poco, anche i freelance traggono un grande beneficio dall'effettuare uno studio di brand e dall'identificare e comunicare la propria identità.
Even if with substantial differences, we will see now that even freelancers need to carry out a study of brand identity in order to target their customers in the best way possible.
Effettuare uno studio di brand anche per un freelance significa dotarsi di un piano di marketing, studiare i propri valori, mission e vision, strutturare la propria offerta e il piano di comunicazione scegliendo i giusti canali, proprio come una grande azienda.
Just as a big corporation, a freelancer needs to study his personality, his offer, his mission and objectives, and his vision. And he has to establish a marketing plan, as I said, just as a big company.
Quali sono i vantaggi che derivano dall'effettuare uno studio di brand? Distinguerci dagli altri, farci scegliere dal giusto target e far conoscere i nostri motivi e i nostri valori e i motivi per sceglierci.
The advantages that come from identifying a brand, are that we make ourselves unique in respect with the other freelancers and corporations, and we make ourselves chosen from the right target, and also we make our values and ethical ideas known to our targets.
Un ultimo vantaggio, ma non meno importante, è quello di creare una barriera all'ingresso che farà sì che i nostri nuovi clienti saranno persone dotate dei nostri stessi valori e del nostro stesso modo di pensare. Insomma, renderà più facile lavorare.
As a consequence, another advantage is that the people that will come to us will have our same values, and therefore working with them will be much more easier, and so collaboration will be immediate between us and our clients.
Dove cominciare, come raccontare la nostra storia per trovare la nostra unicità, le nostre parole chiave, la nostra mission.
So now we're going to talk about where to start, how to tell our story, to make ourselves unique, and also keywords and our mission.
Nel marketing classico siamo abituati a pensare allo studio di brand che parte dall'analisi del mercato. Le grandi aziende studiano i bisogni dei consumatori e stabiliscono la nicchia più adatta alla propria offerta e struttura.
We are used to think that in market people start from their personal identity to find the specific target people that they want to target, so the niche that they will find in the market.
Per un freelance il processo è esattamente l'opposto. Partiamo dalla nostra unicità e troviamo la nicchia più adatta alle nostre peculiarità, non solo a quelle del mercato.
For freelance, it is different because we're going to look at our particular characteristics and not the characteristics of the market, so that we can build our brand identity.
Dobbiamo partire dai nostri talenti, dalle nostre capacità uniche, da quello che ci ha portato ad essere diversi nel nostro modo di lavorare rispetto agli altri, insomma dalla nostra storia personale.
We have to start from the characteristics that make us unique, that make us special, so our personal history.
La nostra storia personale ci ha condotti ad un modo unico di svolgere la nostra professione, unico e diverso rispetto agli altri. che solo sopra la superficie fanno quello che facciamo noi. Ecco qui la nostra nicchia.
We have to start from personal history because that is what made us work in such a particular way and what led us to today. And by using our history, we are going to find our niche in the market.
Una volta identificata la nostra unicità, il passo seguente nella definizione del nostro brand è trovare qual è il modo unico e irripetibile di risolvere i problemi e i bisogni dei nostri clienti attraverso la strutturazione coerente della nostra offerta.
Once we have found our uniqueness, we have got to find the unique way in which we solve our customers' problems and how we act in the market in order to build the brand identity and make us known to customers.
Scusate. Chiedo aiuto alla regia, a che slide devo andare per recuperare le altre parti del mio discorso, che credo che si siano sovrapposte.
Hai recuperato, Marina, oppure no?
Dovrebbe esserci la terza slide.
E qui stiamo andando un po' avanti però. Allora,
Sì,
c'è un rumore di
attenti a non spostare i fogli perché l'audio dello spostamento del foglio entra online. Ok, no? Allora qui sta succedendo un po' un disastro, quindi direi, Marina, al di là delle slide, se noi intanto andiamo avanti, traduciamo.
Certo. Allora, nella scelta degli strumenti di comunicazione per la nostra attività siamo abituati a seguire l'onda e le mode, a scegliere quei canali e quegli strumenti che sono più utilizzati dalla massa e che sembrano imprescindibili.
When we're choosing the tools for our communication and the channels that we want to use, we're used to be influenced by trends and so we follow what others do.
Questo è il tipico errore che porta tanti a detestare la comunicazione e a non riuscire a stare dietro a tutto l'impegno che richiedono i tanti canali e la costante presenza online.
This is the typical mistake that has made us many hate communication because they don't find the right communication tools and so they can't communicate thoroughly with their customer.
Non è vero che dobbiamo essere presenti su tutti i social più diffusi e sempre. Il nostro brand si differenzia anche per l'utilizzo peculiare e unico dei social media giusti per noi e per i nostri obiettivi.
It isn't true that we need to have an account on all social medias, but the important thing is to choose the right and peculiar social medias that we want to focus on and that will deliver our message and our brand identity to our customers.
Nella scelta dei canali di comunicazione per il nostro brand dobbiamo porci alcune domande che ci porteranno a compiere una scelta adatta a noi, al nostro pubblico e alla nostra attività.
When we choose between the communication tools, we have to ask ourselves some questions that will make us understand which is the right tool for us and for our niche.
La prima domanda, quella più naturale, è quali canali di comunicazione e social media il nostro target utilizza e frequenta maggiormente.
The first question we need to ask ourselves is which are the channels and the social medias that our brand normally uses during our brand normally uses.
Una volta compilata questa lista, chiediamoci quali siano tra questi gli strumenti e i canali di comunicazione più adatti alla nostra personalità, al nostro modo di lavorare e al nostro modo di comunicare i nostri valori.
Once we have a list of the channels that are used by our brand and by our niche, we have to ask ourselves which among them are the ones that are the most suitable for our personality and for our personal history.
Scelti i canali, decidiamo quali sono le modalità di comunicazione più adatte alle nostre capacità e propensioni naturali, se foto, video, la parola, il testo.
Once we have chosen the channels, we have to choose the communication tools that we want to use. So, for example, photos, pictures or videos, or just plain text.
Saremo arrivati in questo modo a definire in modo preciso i nostri canali e strumenti di comunicazione e anche le specifiche modalità per ognuno e sapremo quindi ciò che dovremo preparare per pianificare le nostre campagne di comunicazione.
Now we are decided and determined precisely our channels and our communication tools. And this enables us to plan a communication and marketing strategy that will target our niche and our customers.
Partendo dal nostro piano marketing, abbiamo adesso gli strumenti giusti per noi, compatibili con la nostra attività e la nostra personalità, e non avremo dispersione di energie focalizzandoci sui giusti mezzi per il nostro pubblico.
Now that we've chosen our market plan, we have to focus on the things that are right for our personality and that do not make us waste any energy, but are directly connected to our niche and to our customers.
Il messaggio chiave che voglio passarvi è che la comunicazione e il marketing per i freelance partono da noi e devono essere sostenibili e compatibili con la nostra vita e la nostra personalità.
The key message that we want to deliver is that communication tools and channels have to be right and suitable for us and for our personality, as we said, and they have to be sustainable and like adaptable to ourselves in order to have a great communication with our clients.
Parti quindi dalla tua storia personale, cerca i tuoi talenti, le tue parole chiave, i motivi per cui i clienti devono scegliere te e saranno queste le cose da comunicare.
What's fundamental is to choose our keywords, what we want our clients to know and to remember about us, and what we want to send as a message to them. And just by deciding this, we have decided what we want to communicate through the communication tools we have chosen before.
Scegli accuratamente i luoghi sui quali comunicare. Ricorda che less is more. Trova gli strumenti giusti per te scegliendo lo stile personale che racconti la tua storia.
It's important to choose with accuracy the means that we want to use to communicate our history. So remember, less is more. And so we have to choose the tools that we want to use to tell our history and make it rememberable for our niche.
Crea un piano marketing e un piano editoriale e usa gli strumenti di programmazione sui social per raggiungere due obiettivi: efficacia e libertà.
Establish a business plan and a communication plan in order to achieve two objectives, freedom and efficiency.
Fai ciò che ti piace e che senti giusto per te senza forzature, perché più che mai la comunicazione di un freelance è valida se è autentica e vera.
Do what you love and without any limits, because a freelancer's communication is much more true to himself when it is without any constraint, so when it comes from the heart of the person.
Un piano di comunicazione e di marketing è seguito da quella che è l'immagine visiva, che è parte integrante del processo di creazione della brand identity, e vi parlerà adesso di questo Michela Bellomo. Insieme a lei abbiamo creato un percorso che si chiama Dream Big per piccoli business, unito al suo servizio B-Bloom, e diventa Dream and Bloom, il percorso per creare un'identità visiva completa, di cui vi parlerà lei adesso.
After having established a business and marketing plan, it's important to establish the image of the freelance, because as we said before, images are much perceived from our niche, and therefore they have to represent our uniqueness and our special characteristics. And now Michela is going to talk to us about this, and Michela and Marina have unified their two concepts with the name Dream and Bloom for small businesses.
Bene, grazie Marina per il tuo intervento, complimenti, perché a te è stato affidato l'incarico di rompere il ghiaccio oggi in questa nostra prima diretta internazionale di Freelance Network Italia, e quindi adesso sto prendendo un po' di tempo per dare un po' di riposo, un po' di fiato a Virginia e consentire anche a Michela di intervenire. Ne approfitto prima che Michela inizi la sua relazione, se ha voglia Virginia, visto che abbiamo presentato tutti ma non abbiamo presentato lei, se vuole darci 2 righe al volo di bio, che cosa sta facendo, cosa sta studiando e in qualche modo come mai si sente partecipe di questo mondo freelance. Prego.
Okay, now the moderator was just telling us that I should like present myself and how I'm connected to these topics. So I'm a business student, and so these are very familiar topics for me. And also I'm very passionate about languages, so this felt like the right occasions to like unify these two passions and to start having a taste of what my future might be like. So that's it about me. And
yeah. Ok, perfetto. Allora, 2 informazioni importanti. La prima, se volete invitare anche i vostri amici, potete seguirci chiaramente attraverso questa diretta Zoom e anche attraverso la pagina Facebook di Freelance Network Italia. Se invece ci state seguendo e avete intenzione di fare dei tweet sull'argomento, lo vedete, c'è un hashtag che è I am freelance, in modo tale che poi possano anche essere in qualche modo riconosciuti e convogliati in un'unica fonte consultabile su Twitter. Michela Bellomo, adesso tocca a te, se ci sei.
Eccomi.
Perfetto, e allora cedo immediatamente a te la parola, mi raccomando il rispetto dei tempi. Grazie.
Grazie, buongiorno a tutti. Io sono Michela Bellomo, sono brand creator e color strategist, sono freelance dal 2014. Tutti i miei servizi partono dai colori perché io credo che i colori siano una spinta gentile, uno strumento importante per creare la brand identity.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Michela Bellomo, and I'm a marketing strategist that focuses and has started her career thanks to colors, which I believe to be a fundamental tool to create an image, so a brand identity, as we said before.
Oggi vi parlo appunto di brand identity perché? Perché la brand identity è fondamentale per noi freelance, come ci ha raccontato Marina. Perché siamo bombardati dalle immagini e perché oggi più che mai dobbiamo avere una brand identity che ci rappresenta, che parli al nostro target e che ci renda immediatamente riconoscibili.
Having a brand identity is fundamental for a freelancer because nowadays we have so many images and we see so many every day. And so we have to find an image that represents ourselves and our brand, and that delivers the message we want to deliver to our customers.
Per noi freelance il nostro brand siamo noi e la nostra personalità è strettamente collegata al nostro brand, perché le persone compreranno da noi principalmente perché ci conoscono, perché ci saranno in qualche maniera innamorate di noi e perché si fideranno di noi.
Having a brand identity is fundamental for a freelancer because people will buy from us and will come to us whether if they know us, whether if they they really like our program and our person. And so creating a brand identity is fundamental to sustain all of that.
Per questo noi dobbiamo dire mai più senza brand identity, ma dobbiamo sapere che cos'è la brand identity. La brand identity non è solo il nostro marchio o il nostro sito web. La brand identity è l'immagine visiva del nostro brand, è la sensazione che le persone sentono quando pensano a noi.
That's why it's fundamental to have a brand identity that is not only our website or our brand, but the visual image of it. So how it is perceived by our customers and the sensations that it causes in them.
Dobbiamo essere immediatamente riconoscibili e per essere immediatamente riconoscibili partiamo dal colore.
We have to be immediately recognizable by our clients, and that's why the starting point of creating a brand identity and an image for the brand identity is color.
La persona media dà un giudizio subconscio su un prodotto, su una persona o su un ambiente entro 90 secondi e più di 2/3 di questo giudizio si basa sul colore. Ecco perché il colore è così importante.
A normal person normally gives a judgment about a product within 90 seconds, and the great majority of these judgments are based on color, and that's why it is such an important element of our brand image.
Lo sa bene la regina Elisabetta che non sbaglia mai, si veste sempre con il colore giusto al momento giusto ed è sempre immediatamente riconoscibile in mezzo alla folla. Noi tutti dobbiamo essere riconoscibili come la regina Elisabetta.
Just as Queen Elizabeth always wears the right color that make her distinctable among the people, we have to be recognizable among all the market, just like her.
Dobbiamo quindi imparare a usare i colori, perché dietro ad ogni colore c'è una filosofia, non esiste soltanto il nostro colore preferito, dobbiamo conoscere le caratteristiche dei singoli colori.
That's why it's fundamental to choose the suitable and right color for a brand, and we have to choose it by starting from ourselves. So the color has to represent us and our essence.
Partiamo dal rosso. Il rosso è il colore della passione, è il colore dell'amore, è un colore che viene spesso utilizzato nei brand che si occupano di ristorazione, proprio perché sembra che il rosso faccia venire appetito.
Let's start from red. That is a bright color that represents love and passion. And it is normally used in restaurants as it is thought to cause appetite in people. So, yeah.
E poi c'è l'arancione. L'arancione è il colore della dinamicità, è un colore moderno, è un colore giovane e viene spesso utilizzato dai brand che hanno a che fare con la tecnologia.
Then there's orange that is connected with dynamism and also young people, and therefore it is used by brands that are related with technology.
Passiamo al giallo. Il giallo è il colore del sorriso, della gioia, dell'ottimismo. Il giallo è un colore che non passa mai inosservato, non dimentichiamo che gli evidenziatori sono gialli.
Then there's yellow, that is related to optimism and joy. And what's important about this color is that it's always visible and it pops in our eye, so we see it right away.
Poi c'è il verde è il colore del relax, della pace, è un colore che ultimamente viene spesso utilizzato insieme al marrone proprio per tutti quei brand che hanno a che fare con il biologico.
Then there's green, that is connected with nature and relax. And nowadays it is accompanied by brown, by the brands that are occupied with biological items.
Poi c'è il blu è il colore della professionalità, della sicurezza e non a caso la maggior parte delle banche e degli istituti di credito utilizza proprio questo colore nella propria brand identity.
Then there's blue, that is used to deliver a sense of confidence and that you can rely on this brand, and therefore it is used by, for example, banks and important institutions that need the client to rely on them.
Passiamo al rosa. Il rosa è sicuramente il colore della femminilità, ma è un colore utilizzato dai brand che vogliono esprimere cura e accoglienza.
Then there's pink, that is often associated with femininity. However, it is used by brands that want their client to feel welcomed and cared about by them.
E poi c'è il viola del lusso, il colore dell'eleganza, è un colore molto intimo che viene usato dagli hotel di lusso e anche moltissimo nell'ambito della bellezza.
Then there's purple, that creates sort of intimacy, and therefore it's often used by luxury hotels, but also by brands that are about beauty and cure of ourselves.
Ma noi oggi vogliamo andare oltre le caratteristiche dei colori e scoprire qual è il colore della nostra personalità.
Now we want to establish which is the color suitable for our personality.
Ho inventato un metodo che si chiama Color Love e che mi permette di capire quali sono i colori che rappresentano al meglio noi e il nostro business.
I've created a method that is called Color Love, and this enables us to understand which are the colors that best represent ourselves and our business.
Ho studiato la psicologia dei colori in modo molto approfondito e creato insieme ad una psicologa questo test. È un test semplice e veloce che come risultato indica l'appartenenza ad una stagione e ad una personalità.
I've studied thoroughly with a psychologist, the psychology of colors, and therefore I came up with this method that make us understand which is the color related to our personality.
Così, se il risultato del test Color Love indica che apparteniamo alla personalità primavera, la nostra personalità sarà creativa ed estroversa e i nostri colori che ci rappresenteranno al meglio saranno brillanti e puliti, proprio come i colori della primavera.
If the results of the test tell us that we have a spring personality, it means that we are very creative and extroverts, and therefore we are associated with bright and clean colors that are the colors of spring.
Se apparteniamo alla personalità estate, abbiamo una personalità introversa e un po' vintage, anche romantica, e i colori che ci rappresentano al meglio sono polverosi e delicati, desaturati.
If we have a summer personality, we are more introverted and more vintage, and therefore the color associated with this kind of personality are dusty and delicate colors, not so bright.
Se apparteniamo alla personalità autunno, abbiamo una personalità appassionata ed energica, amiamo la natura e i colori che ci rappresentano sono caldi e mutevoli, proprio come le foglie in autunno.
If the results of the tests give us an autumn personality, it means that we are passionate and energetic, and that the colors that are associated with are warm and changing colors. So the colors of the autumn, of the leaves, and that's the autumn personality.
Se invece la nostra personalità è inverno, tendiamo ad essere dei leader, siamo delle persone realistiche, sicure, razionali e i colori che ci rappresentano al meglio sono dei colori intensi, quasi metallici.
And if we have a winter personality, we are probably going to be leaders, very rational and realistic. And the colors associated with this kind of personality are intense and almost metallic colors.
Una volta che abbiamo identificato i nostri colori, quelli che rappresentano noi e il nostro business, dobbiamo creare la nostra mood board e la nostra palette colori per mettere le basi alla nostra identità visiva.
Once we have identified the colors that best represent ourselves and our business, we have to create a mood board with our color palette in order to identify our brand identity and image.
La mood board è un collage di immagini, di colori, di font, di qualsiasi cosa utile a definire lo stile del nostro brand.
A mood board is a combination of images and texts and fonts that combined together give us the essence of our business that we want to be represented by the image.
La palette colori è il armonico dei colori che ci rappresentano. Per me è un po' il modo per mettere in ordine il mondo.
The mood board is sort of a way to organize the world as we put there the most important colors, images that represent us, and therefore we can organize it there.
La mood board insieme alla palette colori è l'immagine che viene prima del nostro marchio e che contiene la nostra essenza, per questo è fondamentale.
The mood board and the color palette are fundamental as they represent our business, our identity, and they come before our product and what the client is going to see. Therefore, they have to be representative of us and our values.
Non è complicato creare la nostra mood board, è sufficiente pensare a tre parole che rappresentano le sensazioni che vogliamo esprimere con il nostro business.
In order to create a mood board, we have to think of 3 words that represent our business.
Raccogliamo poi tutte le immagini che al meglio rappresentano le nostre 3 parole. Possiamo farlo sia in forma cartacea che in formato digitale. Lasciamoci ispirare dai colori che abbiamo riconosciuto nella nostra personalità e iniziamo a comporre la nostra mood board.
Then we have to gather all the materials that represents these 3 words that we have chosen before. And they can be gathered both digitally and physically. And we have to let ourselves be inspired by the colors that represents us and our business, and then compose our mood board.
Per creare la nostra mood board cartacea possiamo prendere immagini da vecchi giornali e incollarle su un cartoncino. Se invece vogliamo crearla in formato digitale possiamo utilizzare Pinterest, che è un ottimo strumento per fare questo lavoro, e poi caricare tutto su Canva, caricare le immagini su Canva nella sezione mood board.
If we want to create a physical mood board, we can cut images from newspapers and then paste them into another paper. Whereas if we want to create a digital mood board, we can use Canva and then upload it there in the section mood board.
Sempre su Canva, che è un ottimo strumento per noi freelance, possiamo caricare la nostra mood board e creare così la nostra palette colori, andando nella pagina Palette Generator.
Always using Canva, that is a very useful instrument for us freelancers. We can also create our mood board in the section Generate Mood Board, and then we can upload it there, as we said before.
A questo punto mettiamo le basi alla nostra identità visiva come ci ha suggerito Marina, utilizziamo la nostra palette colori, prendiamo ispirazione dalla nostra mood board e poi il mio consiglio è affidiamoci a un professionista per creare il logo, il nostro sito web e farci conoscere sui social network.
So as Marina said before, we have to put the ground basis to create our identity. Then we have to establish the color palette and create the mood board that represents the image of our brand. And then we have to go through a specialist that will create the logo and our website. And then we have to make ourselves known on social networks in order to communicate with our customers and make our image known.
Sì, costruire una brand identity coordinata, curata nei dettagli e che ci permetterà di essere immediatamente riconoscibile, proprio come la regina Elisabetta.
We have to create a brand image that will make us rememberable for our clients and that will be recognizable for them so that they immediately know that it's us. And we have to be, as I said, recognizable among everyone, just as Queen Elizabeth, as we said before.
Vi lascio i miei contatti se volete continuare a seguirmi, se volete effettuare il test Color Love e vi auguro buon proseguimento. Grazie.
Grazie mille Michela, grazie anche a Marina per le vostre suggestioni, ascoltandovi con vero interesse, visto che I'm adaltonic. Io credo di essere un four season man perché non vedo un colore e quindi a meglio, qualcuno lo vede, qualcuno no, però davvero interessanti le vostre suggestioni e visto che ci ha scritto Elina nella chat di questa Zoom call, ci ringrazia, vi ringrazia per gli utilissimi link su Canva.
Grazie.
Perfetto, allora direi che può prepararsi Dario Albini che invece interverrà direttamente in lingua inglese così la nostra Virginia ha modo di riposarsi un momento. Grazie intanto Virginia. Prego Dario.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for the invitation. Thanks to Italian Freelance Network and thanks for the invitation from the Freelance Business Month. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Dario Albini and I am a strategic creative director. I have founded Atabaliba Studio, which is an award-winning design consultancy agency. I am also the founder of the Freelancer Island, which is the first co-working space for freelancer and creative professional in Italy. And I am professor at the European Institute of Design. Well, I'm a freelancer since the very, very beginning. I've never seen a paycheck in my entire life. And I'm freelancing since more than 20 years now. And I've been from, being in 6K euros in debt, thanks to a great idea of my former tax consultant, to luckily a six-figure happy freelance designer. So that said, I decided to share what I've learned during my path. And so now I call myself a pirate freelance mentor, which my mission is to help every freelancer to achieve professional success so that in the end they can be and much more free and satisfied human beings through freelancing. So the main problem that every freelancer face when they start their career, and they continue to face as long as they proceed and evolve, is how much do I value? How much I price for my work, which is the current price. And the main fear are that we can price ourselves too low and so leave money on the table and have struggles. And then we can, on the other hand, price ourselves a little bit too high and so lose clients. So in this speech, my goal is to show you what I think are the three best ways to price ourselves as freelancers. And then in the end, I hope to give you the very best way for you to solve once for all this big problem as freelancers. So the first way, the most common way, the way that every freelancer uses when they are beginning is time value price. So we just say that our price has a certain value, and then we multiply it for the amount of time that we will use for the project. How we can use this framework? It's pretty easy. We just need to understand which are our total our working hour in a year. And then we have to understand the two important things about our economics. First, our expenses, and later our profits, the profits that we want. So let's put in action so that we can understand how to read properly and quickly, so that every one of us can do this after or during this speech. So how we can understand how many hours, how many working hours we have in a year. It seems such a huge task, but it is in the end quite easy. We just start from the bottom and then we climb up to the top. So how many hours do we work per day? Then we will see how many days we work per week. And then we see how many weeks do we work for months. And then how many months we work for a year. And then boom, we have the total amount of hours. It's just for simple math. Now that we have the amount of working hours, we just need to find the economics. And it's quite easy. The first thing is to understand our expenses, both for profession and for our personal life too. The simple way here is to have the different approach going bottom down. So let's just go to our online bank account and see all our expenses in the last 12 or 24 months. And then boom, we have everything that we have spent in a normal amount of time. Then one last thing, we need to understand the profits that we want. And this is something that all newbie freelancers tend to avoid, and is to set some goals. What do we want to achieve for our profession? And what do we want to achieve as a person, as a human being? So we do want to drive Ferraris and have boats in Monte Carlo, or do we want just to be free to have a normal life with no financial problems? So after we set what amount of money, the amount of money that we need to set and to reach our goals, we have the total economics. So we sum the expenses plus the profits that we need, and then we divide for the total of the working hours that we have in 1 year. And then boom, we have, Bosidar say he wants a Ferrari, same here. Okay, so we have this total amount, and then we just divide for the total hours, and boom, we have one amount of money, and this is our hourly base rate. So when clients come to us and ask for an estimate, we just to understand how long it will take. One good thing during all these processes is to put some 50% of buffer, just to be sure, we can do some math wrong. So let's stay a little bit more with 50% more on our calculation. And then boom, we have our hourly rate. Super good, but which are the pros and the cons of this approach? Well, the pros are quite easy. It's straightforward. It's easy to, as we have seen, this kind of approach. And the other good thing is that is very understandable for our client. So we don't need to have a complex estimate or iteration with our client. We just say, okay, this project will take about 2 or 3 hours, 20 or 30, and so on. Of course, I'm talking about hours, but can be days, weeks, months, as we prefer. Okay, it's the time that matters. The other good thing is that this approach gives us the economic sustainability of our profession, because we know exactly how much money do we need to earn to pay our expenses and how much money do we need to earn on top to reach our profits. So we know exactly which projects are an okay and which projects are a no-no. So we can avoid one of the most common problems of every new freelancer, that is to accept every single project, even the less paid ones. Okay, but here we have some big cons as well. The first big cons is that we are in a conflict of interest with our clients. Because for our clients, if we are very, very fast, it's good for them, but it's not good for us because we will earn less money. And so we would like to be slow, and so we have an ethical problem, and we don't want never ever to be in conflict of interest as a freelancer. We always want to be shoulder by shoulder with our clients. So this is a structural bad approach. Then there is another very big con, and that is that this is a penalization of our expertise. Because as long as I'm very good in my job, because I have a lot of experience, I've studied a lot, and so I'm quick in the execution while keeping the quality very high, of course, I will be paid less than somebody that struggles and takes a longer time to provide this task. We'll remember the famous saying of Pablo Picasso. Once this rich lady approached him after an evening out of a restaurant and asked, "Master, please, I really would like to have a drawing of yours right now. I'm rich, so I can pay right away." And Pablo Picasso says, "Yes, of course, no problem, madam." And he grabbed a napkin and draws one of his famous bulls and handle it to the lady and says, "Okay, here is your bull, and it's 10,000 euros, roughly." And the madam said, "Well, I know that you are a master, I know that you are Picasso, but it seems quite expensive for just 1 minute of work." And so Picasso famously says, "Well, madam, it didn't take me 1 minute of my time to do this drawing, but my entire life plus 1 minute." So the time-based approach, it's not good for master or for high-quality performer. So what could be a good alternative? Well, a good alternative can be market value price. So how does it work? It's super simple, like the other one. We just need to understand our market, how much does it pay for our services. Despite what every new freelancer thinks, what we are doing has already been done in the history of humankind. So there is a track record, and so there is something called as a psychological perceived value in the mind of our clients. Let's do a quick example, super simple. How much does it cost for 1 cup of coffee? Let's think about it for a moment. And if we are thinking, roughly in Italy, 1 cup of coffee should cost €1. Then if it's quite cheap, can be 80 cents, or if it's expensive or in a fancy place, up to €2. But this is roughly what we are eager to pay for 1 cup of coffee. Okay, so this is something that we can apply on our services as well. How can we do this? We have 2 simple steps. The first one is to do a kind of we have a coffee for 3 to 10 euros in Belgium. Well, guys, you have a very good coffee, I think. So we have 2 steps. The first step is to do a market analysis. So we have to understand what are the spectrum, the delta of our services. How can we do that? Contacts, colleagues, chit-chat with our clients, association, and everything that can help us to connect with our market. We have not to be shy in talking about money. It's something that it's normal. We have to be more aware so that we can do better choices. On the other hand, after we have done this kind of survey on the market, we will have a range of pricing. So then we have to turn our analysis inward toward us, and we have to do a personal and professional assessment. That means how good I am. how experienced I am. What kind of special marks can I show to my market? I am credible somehow, I am more than credible, I have awards, I have something that makes me special, something that in very short terms can increase my perceived value as a freelancer. So here we are always talking about psychological perceived values. After the survey, we can always ask for friends and colleagues and clients. And then we can understand basically if we are in three possible positions. The first position is that we are aligned to the market. We are a good professional. We have a normal experience. We have normal awards and normal stuff. So if we sell coffee and we are coffee makers, well, €1 is our normal price. Then maybe we can be a newbie. We are just very new on the market. We are not so good. We are increasing. That's no problem. So we can have a lower price, let's say 80 cents or something like that. In these cases, keeping 30% up and down, it's a good way to orientate ourselves. And then, of course, we can be better than the average of the market. So we can go on the higher of our delta. Well, what are the pros and cons here? First of all, here we have an alignment to the psychological perceived value in the minds of our client. So it's quite difficult to have a bad estimate, so to lose the client because we are charging too much or too less. On the second hand, it's quite easy when we work in linear markets like coffee and bar. But we have some cons too, because we are not selling coffees. We are selling services. We are selling values, we are selling benefit, we are selling knowledge. So we are working in more scattered market. And so it's not so straightforward. So for some of us as freelancers to price accordingly, we can have a lot of different markets, a lot of different countries that pays different amount of money for the same thing. And we can have one market that says a lot, like let's say web design. How much does a website cost? I don't know, it can be something for €500 to 50,000. So it's quite a big range. And the other cons is that we are still penalizing our mastery, because somehow when we are getting really good as a freelancer, the one that I call super freelancer, so the guys that are called not because somebody needs a digital marketer, an illustrator, a designer, but somebody that is calling you precisely, okay? Not a common someone, but a specific people, an author, a Pablo Picasso. So we still have this problem of mastery value. What can be so another alternative? Well, we have the last one, that is value-based priced. So how does it work? Let's do a super quick thought experiment. Follow along with me. Let's say that we are designers and we are very good coffee advertisement designers. And so Amazon reached to us and say, hey, I want to sell coffee on Amazon.com. Can you help me out to draw a super beautiful images to sell my coffee? And we say, yes, of course, no problem. You are Amazon, let's go. And so what can we do? Okay, let's start with valuing our price, thinking about the time and the market, like the two frameworks that we have just seen. So maybe we understand that we will take us 10 hours of work, and that our market will price these kind of jobs like €2,000. Great. So we are good, and we decide that we will ask for Amazon €5,000. So more than double the market price, and we will be paid €500 per hour. That is quite a good amount of money for 10 hours of work. Good. So we provide our work, and Amazon is super happy, and we get a call from Jeff Bezos. We go to the moon with him, and we do all such kind of stuff. And then we understand that in the end, Amazon had 100 million in revenue thanks for this campaign. Okay, of course, it's not just because of our excellent job. You have, marketing ideas, distribution, and so on. But a big part of this success is because we have done a great visual. We have provided a lot of value to our clients because we was able to understand and to communicate in an excellent way with our service. In this case, with 100 billion, respect of our 500 euros, how does it feel? Not so great, right? So if we would ask a kind of, I don't know, 10,000 euros or 50,000 euros or 100,000 euros, how does it like? For Amazon, a super great deal, of course. It's a 10x in revenue, so it's awesome. And for us, wow, it's more than awesome. And at the same time, and this is one of the most important things, we are not overcharging our client because we are paid with leverage. Value-based system is the only one that has a leverage, okay? And it's still ethical and balanced because we are just paid for the amount of value in proportion to the amount of value that we provide. And so you can understand that thinking about the value-based price is totally off of the scale respect to time-based and market-based. So what are the pros and cons here? Well, the pros is that it's awesome. It's the most profitable way as a freelancer to price ourselves. The cons are quite big as well, because, well, it's super difficult to apply because it asks for a future forecast, okay? How can we understand in advance that Amazon will have 100 million in revenues thanks to our project? It's very difficult, of course. And then it's very difficult to have this kind of data as well. I don't think that Jeff Bezos will call us and say, okay, here is the economical sheets, so please have a look and enjoy with me, okay? So what can we say here? First of all, a very big pin-up to keep in our mind as a freelancer is a marketing pin-up, and is that it's super important always to have case studies more than portfolios. Because portfolio is just a menu. We are selling coffee and we show how many kind of coffees we sell. While case study is something more. It's showing what benefits have these coffees provided to the previous customer. So it's kind of showing kind of a small glimpse in the future of our asking clients. He can understand and visualize what can be the impact of our service to his business. On the other hand, it's quite impossible to have a mathematical, precise, value-based estimates because it's future. We never know. Anyone never knows what will happen. And so how can we apply? Which is, in the end, the best way to price our work? It is neither of these three that we have seen today. Because the best way is to have all the three ones combined into one. Because we need to understand a specific connection between our time, that is what we as freelancers are selling most of the time, and is the only thing that is not repeatable. We know that our time is finished and we never know how long it will take. So it's the most important value. On the other hand, we have to understand regarding to time, which is the red line of economic sustainability of our business. Then we have to be aware of our market. How much our market pays for our services is something that most of freelancers really doesn't know properly. And then in the end, we have to understand our value. So which is our provide value on the market, because always we can be more special than we think. We can provide much more value than we think, especially when we have leverage. Okay, so the best way is to combine these three frameworks all together and to have different amounts of every one of each for every stage of our career. So when we are on the very first days of our freelancing, we can rely much more on the time-based and less on the value. And then when we are some gray walrus of freelancing, we have a lot of years of experience, we can climb up and have a bigger percentage on value-based while keeping the other two just as an indicator. So in conclusion, the best thing for us as freelancer and this value-based price system is just an excuse to understand something much more important and deeper about our career as freelancer, is that to be better freelancer, we have to be more aware and to have an holistic vision of ourselves and of the market and on our profession. And just with awareness and with analysis, we can be better freelancer and so better human being working on the market. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dario. Grazie per questo intervento molto interessante che ha dato spunti di sicuro interesse, peraltro apprezzati da tutti noi che ti stiamo ascoltando, in primis da Elina, che appunto sottolinea il fatto che erano molto molto interessanti. Adesso vediamo di recuperare Virginia, che ci ha aiutato nella traduzione, dovrebbe arrivare.
Sì, ci sono.
Perfetto. Allora, se vuoi tradurre queste ultime cose che ho detto e poi introduciamo Giovanni Ronci, visto che abbiamo un po' di ritardo sui tempi.
Okay, special thank you to Dario and his very interesting insights, as also Elena underlined. And now we're going to listen to Giovanni Ronci,
Al quale cedo immediatamente la parola. Grazie Giovanni.
Grazie a tutti, grazie, buongiorno. Sono Giovanni Ronci e mi occupo principalmente di portare online il business di freelance e professionisti.
I am Giovanni Ronci and I work with bringing online the market business.
Ecco, partiamo dalla differenza tra segmenti di mercato e nicchia di mercato, perché c'è una sostanziale differenza. Allora, il segmento di mercato è in generale una suddivisione commerciale del mercato più grande a cui si riferisce.
Okay, let's start by talking about the substantial difference between market segment and market niche. The market segment is a subdivision of a bigger market.
Invece una nicchia di mercato è un insieme di persone che presentano criticità comuni condivise o comunque obiettivi e desideri comuni.
Whereas a market niche is a group of people that present the same difficulties, but also the same objectives and desires.
Per esempio c'è il mercato immobiliare e c'è la nicchia degli agenti immobiliari che stanno cercando nuovi clienti che vogliono una seconda casa al mare, per esempio.
For example, we have the market of immobility, and we have some real estate agents that combined form a niche of those who are looking for clients that want a second house at the sea, for example.
Nel grande mercato delle relazioni potresti decidere, ad esempio, di occuparti della nicchia delle coppie in crisi, oppure delle mamme che stanno cercando di crescere un figlio piccolo.
For example, when looking for a niche, you could focus on couples who are going through a crisis right now, or moms that want to take care of their son and make him grow up in the best way.
Perfetto. In generale una nicchia ha quindi più a che fare con le persone, le loro esigenze specifiche, che con dei semplici prodotti.
Therefore, we can affirm that a niche is something that is related to people and their needs more than a product himself.
Identificare la tua nicchia diventa quindi il primo grande ingrediente per diventare un freelance di successo.
Therefore, identifying your niche becomes the first objective to achieve in order to become a successful freelancer.
Ok, il tuo obiettivo sarà quello di soddisfare, cioè di cercare in ogni modo di soddisfare le esigenze e i desideri di quelle persone specifiche. persone che sono poi alla fine i tuoi potenziali clienti ideali o anche chiamate buyer persona.
Your goal is to satisfy your potential customers' needs and desires, and that's why you need to identify your niche and then, as we said, satisfy their needs.
Per farlo meglio, qui c'è un punto davvero importante, tu puoi creare e modellare i prodotti e i servizi giusti per loro solo dopo aver identificato la tua nicchia.
It's fundamental to identify your niche because you can shape and adapt your products and services to your clients. So after that you have identified who they are.
Ok, perché ti serve tutto questo? Beh, come diceva Orwell Ray Wilson, i clienti comprano per i loro motivi, non certo per i tuoi.
And why is this important? Because as Wilson said, clients buy and purchase goods due to their needs and desires, not due to the company's desires or needs.
In effetti, oggi per comprare i tuoi clienti hanno bisogno di capire, vogliono capire e devono essere istruiti costantemente su tutti i vantaggi che derivano dal fare affari con te. Ecco.
And so due to this, your clients need to be informed of the values of your company or of your product and the advantages that this product will bring to them.
In altre parole, ogni comunicazione che fai deve essere rilevante per loro. Devi coinvolgerli sempre, devi farli sentire protagonisti.
So in other words, every kind of communication that is between the clients and the company has to bring the client, has to deliver the client the message that we want to deliver and we want to be associated with. And therefore, every communication needs to gain and keep the engagement of the client.
Questo perché altrimenti il loro livello di attenzione, se non è coinvolto, cioè se non è perfettamente a fuoco, sarà sostituito da qualcos'altro o da qualcun altro, insomma.
If we don't keep the client's attention, he will focus somewhere else, and therefore we will lose a client to substitutes.
Quindi nella nostra comunicazione, in ogni aspetto del nostro servizio, dovremo parlare alle loro esigenze. Dobbiamo chiamarli in causa e fargli capire che sì, sto parlando di te, sì, questo è fatto apposta per te, per avere la loro attenzione.
Therefore, in every communication, in every action that we take, we need to remind the client that we're doing this for him and there are advantages for him, and so that our product or service is the right product or service for them.
Ecco perché devi cercare e devi definire la tua nicchia prima di definire i tuoi servizi, perché altrimenti la tua proposta di valore non sarà mai perfettamente centrata su quello che vogliono. E questo tipo di errore porta a diversi problemi.
And that's why you need to identify your niche, because otherwise your product won't be centered on your customer. And so, as we said before, you won't keep them engaged and they will turn to somewhere else.
Ok, il primo problema è una comunicazione poco efficace, perché persone poco coinvolte ovviamente saranno anche persone poco attente.
The first problem that we encounter is inefficient communication. So a communication that doesn't deliver our message, and so that won't make us remembered by our clients and won't make them recognize our value.
Quindi più parli in maniera generale, più loro rischiano di percepire che il prodotto non sia solo per loro. Ci vedono dentro magari benefici e vantaggi inutili alla loro causa e di conseguenza perdono interesse.
Therefore, general communication is normally inefficient because it doesn't speak directly to our customer, but it gives them a sense of general benefit for anyone, and it isn't centered on them and their needs and desires.
Il secondo problema il secondo problema legato sempre a non selezionare subito la nicchia è quello di potenzialmente creare dei prezzi sbagliati, cioè di venderti a un prezzo totalmente sbagliato. Se vuoi essere efficace, devi cercare di essere visto come uno specialista. Poi l'abbiamo visto anche nell'intervento precedente, davvero molto, molto interessante.
The second problem with not identifying your niche right away is to give your product a mistaken price. So a price that isn't related, isn't suitable for your product or services, just as we were explained before in the previous
Per esempio, facciamo un esempio. Sei un osteopata e chiaramente i tuoi servizi possono riguardare tutto il corpo. Però perché non diventare un professionista? Perché non cercare di essere riconosciuto come professionista della schiena che aiuta le persone con problemi di sedentarietà legati al lavoro?
So what's important is to specialize in something and focus on a particular area. And for example, if we are a doctor, why don't specialize in one discipline, one particular discipline, so that we attract the clients that need that special discipline that we chose.
Ok, passiamo ora all'importanza dei contenuti. Allen diceva: non importa quale sia il tuo prodotto, alla fine sei nel business dell'istruzione. E ha ragione, perché tutto il tuo business per funzionare ha bisogno di contenuti. E guarda caso si parte sempre dai contenuti informativi, che sono i primi che cercano le persone.
So content has a very important role in communication. Because if we communicate inefficiently our content, it won't give our clients information, and therefore, as we said before, it's inefficient communication. So it won't make the clients understand the value of our product.
Io credo che oggi come oggi un freelance per avere successo debba per forza passare dal web.
I believe that nowadays a freelance must use the net and websites in order to make and create a successful business.
E ovviamente senza passare dal web, e ovviamente senza contenuti sul web non esisti. Senza contenuto non c'è nulla, non c'è notizia, non c'è niente. Se non produci i contenuti non esisti.
And obviously, without contents on web, you won't be successful, and you need to bring informative and innovative content to make yourselves known.
E noi per essere efficaci abbiamo bisogno che i nostri contenuti vengano percepiti dalle persone della nostra nicchia come se fossero cuciti addosso a loro, perché abbiamo bisogno di mantenere la massima attenzione.
And in order to be efficient, we need our content to be the most suitable possible for our clients, in order that for them to identify with our content and what we're talking about.
Ancora una volta, ecco perché è importante aver scelto la nicchia giusta, perché dobbiamo scrivere con le stesse parole che questa nicchia usa, con il linguaggio che queste persone sono abituate ad ascoltare e a utilizzare.
And that's why, once again, it's fundamental to identify your niche, because we need to communicate with them in a very efficient and immediate way. So we need to use their same language and way of talking and interlocuting with someone else. And so the identification of the niche is the first step and the most important step.
Perché in sostanza non è che non possiamo parlare di noi e dei nostri prodotti. Noi dobbiamo parlare e continuare a parlare sempre alla nicchia, offrire il percorso migliore, più credibile, più veloce affinché possano raggiungere il loro obiettivo, che poi è la nostra promessa.
And that's why we don't need to talk just about our products, but we need to talk to our niche about them, their needs, and their desires, so that they keep being engaged with us and to our communications.
Per raggiungere ulteriore efficacia, ovviamente, dobbiamo cercare di differenziarci.
In order to be the most efficient possible, we need to differentiate between the other competitors.
Esatto. E infatti, quando pensi al prodotto che hai in mente per la tua nicchia, dovrai fare tanta ricerca per comprendere e per comprendere i tuoi competitor. È in questa fase che andranno prese decisioni piuttosto importanti. Cosa è successo?
Non saprei, ma nel frattempo io direi, Giovanni, non so quante slide mancano al termine della tua relazione, dovremmo avviarci alla conclusione, altrimenti non abbiamo il tempo per gli altri relatori.
Manca un pochino, manca. Quindi vado avanti in italiano, intanto almeno seguono.
Sì, perché sono le 14:35, abbiamo ancora 3 relatori.
Ok, allora l'obiettivo dello studio dei competitor è ovviamente quello di differenziarsi, e differenziarsi significa creare un'alternativa e non diventare un semplice surrogato. Un surrogato è un prodotto simile a qualcosa che esiste. Facciamo un esempio veloce: apri una panineria e offri, guarda caso, panini. La panineria dall'altra parte del quartiere si sentirà immediatamente minacciata e quindi entrerà in competizione con te. E questo scatenerà reazioni. Ti ritrovi a competere anche se tu avevi fatto un ragionamento sano. Ti eri chiesto perché non offrire una sana pausa pranzo veloce alle persone che lavorano? E allora perché invece di aprire una panineria e quindi di diventare il surrogato dell'altra, non hai offerto un'alternativa come, per esempio, aprire un bistrò dove servire insalate fatte di solo prodotti freschi, ricercati o cose di questo genere? Ecco, è importantissimo non diventare mai il surrogato di qualcun altro, ma creare una vera e propria alternativa come freelance. E questo lo devi fare soprattutto nel mondo dei servizi intangibili che spesso ci caratterizzano, no? Consulenze e cose di questo genere. Non puoi fare esattamente quello che fanno gli altri e non puoi farlo allo stesso modo in cui lo fanno gli altri. Se decidi di erogare servizi di business coaching o di web design, rischi di essere un numero tra migliaia di persone, e questo non va bene. Non dico, anzi, in generale quello che vedo è che tutti allora cosa cercano di fare? Cercano di dare qualcosa in più dei competitor, di fare qualcosa meglio dei competitor. Invece non è sempre così, anzi a volte vale la pena anche pensare a qualcosa in meno, perché non è una gara tra te e i competitor, è semplicemente creare un'esperienza, l'esperienza migliore per il tuo cliente.
Fermi.
Se vuoi offrire servizi migliori...
Un attimo solo, perché altrimenti non riusciamo a riepilogare in sintesi in inglese quello che hai detto. Perdonami Giovanni, prego Virginia.
Sì.
Tempi molto rapidi.
Ok. Per cui...
Giovanni, devi fermarti perché diamo modo a Virginia di tradurre.
Ah, ok, scusa, non l'ho più vista, ok.
Eccola.
Its importance for business.
Ok.
Ok. Prego, Virginia.
And this is fundamental because if we offer the same service as another business, another company, we become a surrogate of this.
Ok, allora... vai, Virgi, scusa.
Non si sente.
And therefore, we won't have a special value that will attract our customers. And this special value is often lies in intangible services. So in a company.
Non sentiamo Virginia.
Io non sento.
Non so se tu senti noi, ma noi non ti sentiamo.
Temo che abbia gli auricolari scarichi, Virgi, è possibile?
Può darsi che siano gli AirPods che l'hanno lasciata. Allora, fermiamoci un attimo. Giovanni, ti chiedo la cortesia e perdono contestualmente di avviarti alla conclusione perché altrimenti non riusciamo a dare la parola agli altri relatori.
Ok, allora, ok, provo a fare un cammino velocissimo. Ci sono, quando parti a immaginare un servizio per i tuoi clienti, ricordati di mappare una bella proposta di valore. Cosa vogliono queste persone nella tua nicchia? Da cosa sono preoccupate e cosa si aspettano? Tu crea un servizio che risponda a queste tre domande e per differenziarti prova anche ad aggiungere i 3 elementi che cambiano un minimo la percezione di valore, che sono velocità, cioè come potresti fare per fargli raggiungere rispetto ai competitor l'obiettivo in maniera più veloce. Poi automazione, come potresti fare per fargli raggiungere i risultati promessi evitandogli una parte di lavoro, oppure accesso, cioè come potresti coinvolgerli in un qualcosa davvero esclusivo. In questo caso, una volta che sei riuscito a creare dei servizi di questo genere, allora sarai sicuramente molto specifico, risulterai più interessante, no? In tutto quello che dici, perché ti rivolgi proprio a quella nicchia specifica e soprattutto sarai in grado di lavorare sui contenuti e sulla SEO per farti trovare con le keyword giuste per il tuo business. E a questo punto mi fermo perché tanto, cioè, non più di così. Fabio, ci sei?
Eccomi, scusate, chiedo scusa. Eccomi qua. Perfetto. Allora, grazie Giovanni, grazie per il tuo contributo. Poi comunque renderemo disponibili, perché so che ci sono, le slide a chi ne farà richieste, comunque le mettiamo a disposizione. Virginia, non so...
Sì, io tutto il discorso che avevo preparato, che comunque è molto più... va in profondità anche sulle keyword, sulla coda lunga e sulla SEO, sarà disponibile anche sul mio blog, quindi lo rendo disponibile in 1000 modi diversi.
Perfetto, ottimissimo. Allora, grazie Giovanni. Virginia, a questo punto direi che non sintetizziamo. So che tu devi prendere congedo da noi e quindi ti invito a prendere appunto congedo, salutando i partecipanti, e noi ringraziamo te per il tuo determinante contributo.
Grazie Virgi.
Non si sente.
No.
Ok, facciamo come gli uomini che erano digitalmente non avanzati, quindi con la mano. Ciao, grazie mille, perfetto. Now we have Martina Lasagna. Martina, are you ready?
Hi, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. And today we are gonna see 5 legal aspects of growing business. So let's start. We know that after coronavirus pandemic, many people decided to leave their job as employee in big companies, and maybe they decided to follow their own passions. For example, people who likes organization decided to start a business as a virtual assistant, or creative people decided to run a business as graphic designer. But most of these people feel alone in the mare magnum of bureaucracy, contracts, terms and conditions, and so on. So the risk in this case is to make mistakes and face legal aspects very, very difficult. So this is why I believe that a lawyer can help a freelance, and each freelance needs a lawyer by his side. Very often people call the lawyer when things are going bad, but I strongly believe that a lawyer can help you to keep things going well. So let's see how it can happen, and which instruments you can have, which legal instruments you can have to face problems and avoid unexpected events, third-party liability, delays, and so on. So let's see which shield you can use. The first legal tip I want to share with you today is about the price quotation. The price quotation is the first document in the relationship between the freelance and the client. And raise your hand if a client vanished away after having asked you a price quotation. I don't see your hands, but I know the answer. Often happens that a client arrives, asks you a price quotation, and then disappears, vanishes away, and maybe he returns after 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, or maybe after a month, asking for that service. But maybe in the meanwhile, you have just started other projects. So this is an organizational problem. My suggestion in this case is to insert in the price quotation a deadline, a sort of expiration date, in order to avoid this kind of problems. But there is another aspect very important in the price quotation, and this is the second legal tip I want to share with you today. Is called the who does what. Because let's make an example. A recent case study I've managed, and we will call it John's case study. John was a web developer, and he was asked to develop a website. But at the end of the job, the client said to him, I won't pay you because you didn't give me the website photos. And John said the opposite. It's not a task of mine. It's up to the client to get the photos for the website and so on, the descriptions, the text, and so on. But anywhere was established who had to get the photos. It's a freelance task or a client task. Well, in this case, in order to prevent this kind of litigation, which is very, very frequent, it's important to establish since the beginning to the relationship who does what. And so, in order to avoid legal problems. But there is another important document between the freelance and the client. And this document is the contract. And this is the third legal tip I want to share with you today. The contract is the document that establishes the road of the relationship. And it's very important to insert an article which excludes the freelance responsibility due to the client's delay. Let's take John's example. He was asked by the client to develop an e-commerce in 4 weeks. What happens if at the 3rd week he can't finish his job because of the delay of the client? Is John responsible for this task or not? Well, in order to prevent this kind of litigation, we can insert in the contract an article that excludes the freelancer responsibility in the case of delay of the client. And this gives us 2 great benefits. The first one is to prevent litigation about delays and denials of payment. But the second one is to make the client more proactive during the relationship. It's a sort of responsibility. But after all these aspects, price quotation and deadlines, price quotation and who does what, contract and exclusion of the responsibility of the freelance, we can say that there is another very important aspect to insert in the contract. And this is the 4th legal tips that I want you to know. And is to insert a liability ceiling. We can establish a liability ceiling related to the value of the contract. Let's make an example. If the value of the project is 500 euros, we can establish that in the case of freelance responsibility, damages can't exceed this amount of money. And this is a strong shield against responsibility. It's a sort of an insurance. But there is another very important aspect of the contract, the last one, the last but not least, the 5th legal tips. Often when we are looking for a contract, we ask Google, find me a virtual assistant contract. And the output of this answer often is a PDF file, a very general one. But we have to keep in mind that general models are designed for general business. We have to design our contract on our own way to work because it's a very important touch point with our client. It reflects our professional, our way to work, but also our tone of voice. So it's very, very important to design it on our pain points. And let's make another example, another case study. We will call it Anita's case study. Anita downloaded a general contract, a general model contract from Google. And in this contract, there was an article which was about the deadline of the delivery of the project. But if Anita says and writes that it's up to her to deliver the project until, for example, the 30th of the month, well, what happens if she can't respect that deadline? Maybe the client can't deny the whole payment or part of it. So it's better for Anita not to say nothing about the timing of the delivery. Obviously, she will do her best in order to deliver the project in time, but it's better for her to avoid any sort of obligation about timing. And this is another very important aspect in order to avoid a denial of payment from the client. These are the 5 main aspects that I hope can help you in order to move your step in the freelance business. Price quotation and deadlines, price quotation and who does what, contract and the exclusion of the freelance responsibility, contract and the liability ceiling, and one size doesn't fit all. But there is another important aspect in freelance business, which is copyright rules, because often freelancers use content in order to run their business. They use sound effects, images, or photos. Well, it's important to keep in mind that online doesn't mean for free. we have to use content under a proper license. So first of all, let's take these contents in multimedia libraries like Shutterstock, Epidemic Sound, and so on. And then another very important aspect is to use a proper license. If we use this content in order to run our business, keep sure to have a commercial license and not a general one. But there is another important aspect about copyright. Save the PDF file of the license. Maybe tomorrow you have to demonstrate your right. And in the meantime, maybe the license is no longer available, or maybe it could change. So it's very, very important to keep it safe on your computer in order to have the demonstration of your right. So these are the main aspects that I think and I hope can help you to grow your business. I've the slides were at the contract. So I hope this can help you. And if you have some questions, please let's make them at the end of the session. And if you want to know more legal tips about copyright, GDPR, trademarks, and contract, you can follow me on my social media like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on my blog, studiolegalelasagna.com. And I hope to see you soon, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you for your words and your suggestions. I suggest to everyone is online now to write down their questions on the chat, because we have no time to answer them during the speech of the other two persons. The first one is Priel Corenfield, please. Priel, I ask you to be very short because we have only few minutes. I'm very sorry.
That's not a problem. Guys, I have something special for you, but it's only going to work if you go along with me. So stop scrolling your feeds, stop answering emails, stop looking at Slack. For 5 minutes, if you will be with me, I will show you a way to go beyond your fears. Not only beyond yours, but beyond mine as well. I'm an organizational hacker and freelancer. This is something that we all need to learn how to do. We need goals, we need plans, we need all of that. But sometimes we just can't seem to get over our fears, and so we set our plans short. We plan our plans feasible, right? We know this, but what to do with this? So I find something in this book. This is the famous The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferris, or Tim Ferris. He wrote also Tools of Titans. So what I'm going to teach you is not mine, but I've done this exercise many times over. You are going to need a simple pen and paper. So if you don't have pen and paper, if you have it close by, just get a pen and paper. If you don't, just use a Google Doc or whatever you like on your computer, okay? This is what we're going to use. Excellent. Get the slides. So how are we going to get over our fears? Beyond our fears. First passage. I want you to focus right now on something that's frightening to you. It could be ending a relationship, also with a client. Maybe you have a project that needs to be closed. It's consuming your energies. It's not bringing you new contacts and profits and so on. It's a bad relationship for your freelancing project. Maybe it's something new. Maybe you have a new client coming in that looks a bit frightening. It's a bit too big, maybe. Maybe it's something complicated. Could be a hassle. It could be something to begin or something to close. It could be, if you want to focus on something personal because it comes to mind, that's fine. Something that you need to do or to undo, that's frightening. And I want you to take the page and divide it into 3 columns, very simply. You write at the top, what if I do this thing? What if I do this thing? Okay. And then you have 3 columns. You simply write define, prevent, and repair. Okay. Define, prevent, and repair. If you have questions, simply put them in the chat. I will try to answer them. Okay. But this is incredibly simple. So first thing you need to define. I'm going to give you a minute. Okay. Do you have something that you thought of that is frightening? Have you found something that's, it could be big, it could be small. That's okay. I'm frightened to write this email. Okay. I'm afraid to give this. Recently, I closed the relationship with a client because he was not giving me answers. And I had to renounce the relationship with that because I sent, you know, a quotation and then another one and then another one. I said, should I say that I'm going away now? That was frightening. Yeah. So it could be something like that. If you have that, define in the first column, you simply define the worst case scenarios, the worst things that could happen. If you do that, what's the worst that could happen? And start writing. Okay. Simply start writing. The worst things that could happen. Someone could get angry. You can lose some money. Yeah. You can get sued. Whatever comes to mind, just fill in those. Try and the slides here are going faster than I am. So we are going to face our fears as first thing. What is the worst case scenario? Okay. If you like, try to put a percentage of probability on that. How probable is that item on your list? That's a very good idea. Next, Next, in the other columns, you are simply going to write, how can I prevent those items that I wrote on the first column? How can I prevent them from happening? Is there something I can do to prevent that? Can I explain my reasons so that that person does not get angry? Can I say it in a way that will make it at least more acceptable? Can I prepare my communication in a way? Yeah. What can I do to prevent the worst case scenarios? Then if it actually happens, the third column is simply, what can I do to repair? Let's say that person got angry. Let's say I lost that contract. Let's say I have no income from that line. What can I do to repair? Can I do something about it? Obviously we can. A good question to ask yourself is that, has anyone ever in the history of humanity solved this kind of situation and was less intelligent than I am? Of course there was. Okay. So next, on the next step, you can flip the page or you can take a space, yeah, and simply ask yourself, we're going to climb up now and say, start hoping. So if I did that, or even if I tried, yeah, an attempt or partial success, what would that look like? So focus your mind 1 second on, if I tried, just trying will be something. If I tried or succeeded even partially, what would that be like? How will you feel? How will you feel about yourself? How would it be to wake up the morning afterwards? What will be different in your situation? Okay, so we're starting to picture the promised land landscape on the other side. Yeah, if you spend some minutes doing this exercise, it will start feeling like a possibility, right? And you can focus on how will you feel, you can focus on the money in the bank, you can focus on your next opportunities and alternatives. This is a very, very good point. But the most important point is the last one, which is the cost of inaction. Now that you activated, you've confronted the fears and defined them, and you designed, you pictured what is hope for you, stop and think about how much does it cost you if you do nothing. So start by asking yourself this: if in the upcoming 3 months I did nothing, how would that be like? And then in 6 months' time, how will I be? And if in 12 months' time I didn't do nothing, how will I be? And when you design that, classically, what happens is that you start being impatient, okay? And you want to move this thing now, okay? So just to close, never miss this part. I'm gonna give you the links to this exercise in the chat right now. When you confront your fears with this exercise, you might find that some fears are based, some fears are good, and you don't want to touch that thing, but you have just decided that it's okay not to do it. So you feel better. And some things you discover that, well, the fear is not so based, and I can take this big project and I can find a solution to that problem. And this is how we actually unlock our potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Priel. Thank you, Priel. Very interesting. And now we have a few minutes. I would like to give, I'm proud to introduce Barbara Verberry, founder of Freelance Network Italia. Please, Barbara.
Hi to everybody. Okay. I can ask Salvatore if you can change my slides, please. I'm a little bit tired now. If you can, of course. Okay, thank you very much, Salvatore. So thank you to everybody. I'm so happy to be here because this is a great job. For the first time, we have how can I say, a photo, a picture of what is working as a freelancer in Italy. So I'm really proud of you all. Thank you very much to be here. So I'm just going to speak a little bit about what is a mentor, who is a mentor, and why it is so important for us as a freelancer. Well, you know what? Mentore was the very faithful friend of Ulysses in the Odyssey. And actually, he was the man who took care of Telemachus, who was the son of Ulysses, and while Ulysses was away. And the thing is that he, in reality, was Athena, the goddess Athena, who is the goddess of knowledge and wisdom. So this is to say that a mentor is a very positive figure, a person who can guide, who can advise, who can support us, and who can also accelerate our improving in our activity. But the difference then is from the coach is that he uses his experience, as Dario also said before, he uses his experience to teach you something, to give you solutions. That's it. So the main difference instead with the coach, I don't know, but I have the feeling that there is a misunderstanding between what is a mentor and what is a coach. A coach helps you to discover, to unreveal your own resources. That means that the coach doesn't guide you. You are going through your path, and simply the coach give lights to your paths, to your steps. So the coach supports, but the coach listen really to you in what it is called profound listening. And he uses questions and listening. So he's not going to give you solutions as the mentor does, okay? So what's the point? When you feel blocked, when you feel that you need to remain attached to your values, to feel better, as Dario also said before, he said, we need to have an holistic vision of ourselves. So to reach that holistic vision of yourself and of the market, of course, you need to develop a mindset. And the mindset, I think, for us is a great thing. So we need to cultivate mindset. Mindset has to do with values, has to do with well-being, and has to do with fulfillment, that is our satisfaction in working. And you know what? Some days ago, I read in a book, I'm going to read. According to Leigh Branham, author of The 7 Hidden Reasons Employees Leave, this is the title of the book, okay? 89% of managers are convinced that employees leave the company to seek higher earnings. And you know what? It's not true. In fact, 79% of them resign for lack of appreciation. So we need appreciation. I think Maslow told us which are our needs. And appreciation is on the top of the pyramid. So we freelancers have an extraordinary opportunity, which is to go further, always to learn that much, many things, to invest in continuous improvement. And that's why we need sometimes a mentor. So when do we really need a mentor? When we begin, for instance, exactly, it's great, thank you. When you begin, when you need a mentor, when you begin an activity, for instance, a freelancing, when you start freelancing, when you have to change also, when you have to change your activity, when you lack in organization, for instance, this is a very, very strong matter for us, or when you tend to procrastinate, or when you do not know how to administrate. This is the accountability part of freelancing. So in this case, a mentor or a coach can help you, but the mentor will give you the answers and will help you to go further, to improve in your activity, while the coach is going to help you to go inside of you and find your answers. That's the difference. And then I just go to the end of my speech just to say this. How can you get in touch with mentor? Because this is the point. First of all, you need to be humble. And you know, I think Grant Adams just wrote another book. It was very interesting. It's about the fact that we need to unlearn. We need to unlearn. That means also that the mentor needs to change and needs to share what he knows, but also to stop and listen and help his mentee to have an open approach on life and work. And so how can you find your mentor or your coach? First of all, okay, you can go on the web and search for a mentor, but it's too big, the mare magnum down there. So you can go through LinkedIn, but first of all, you need to understand which is your goal. I give you just a practical example. If you need, if you have a deadline, you have an event, you have to speak for that event, and you need someone who can help you to stand on the stage and to speak to a big audience. So you need someone who is behind you or just near you to say, okay, do this, do that, study this, study that, and that's it. So you can go to LinkedIn, where you can find someone to follow, someone who can inspire you. And, you know, I think a characteristic of a mentor is generosity. So just look at that. Look at his or her content. Look at how many information he gives you to learn and how he can sustain you to learn and in learning. And then comment, and finally dare to get in touch with her or with him. And just to conclude, I want to say this. Today, after pandemic period, I think that creating valuable professional relationships is the present, but sharing what we learn every day is the future. So please share. That's it. Grazie. Vabbè, adesso tornate qui, tornate a me.
Bene, grazie Barbara per questo intervento. Thank you all. I think it's very good time.
Yeah.
3:10 in the afternoon. And we see you next week, or next Thursday, I think, for another moment, a work moment with Freelance Network. And we present you all people that are in Freelance Network in another meeting that's based on doing business with freelance in Italy.
Yeah, thank you, Fabio. Thank you for your moderation. Thank you to everybody, and thank you for those congrats we're receiving from the rest of the Freelance Business Community. We are really proud. Thank you, Priel, to shorten your speech, and thank you to Martina, to Giovanni, to Dario, to Marina, and Michela. I think we really have done something great, and we have to do more, because everyone has experience, everyone has something to share, and this is for me a great point, because we have just showed that we can do that together. So this is my hashtag, insieme è meglio, together is better, and so I think we can do that again. Okay, so thank you, Fabio, thank you to Virginia, and we will see Sherry's future. Thank you, Christina. She's a member of Freelance Network, so she knows what I mean. Thank you, Maricla. Thank you, everybody, and see you next Thursday at 3 o'clock. Okay, so it will be from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. Okay, bye-bye. See you. Have a nice day. And be human. Okay. Ciao, 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 ciao. Ciao from Italy. Ciao.